Well, hello and welcome to all of our Gold participants from around the world. I'm Fiona Lang Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC for Gold Learning. Well, welcome to all of you joining us here today. It's going to be a great day today because we have Dr. Theresa Nesbitt. She's in the house with us once again here at Gold Learning. And she's going to be speaking at our upcoming conference, our Gold OB-GYN conference. So excited to have not only Theresa here, but she's going to be talking at our new inaugural conference. Welcome back, Theresa, to Gold Learning. It's so great to have you here.
I'm really happy to be here as well.
Well, and I feel like you're happy because I know you're talking about one of your loves and your passions, Theresa, and we'll certainly jump right into that presentation in just a minute here. But Theresa, I'd love if you would just give us a little update. What have you been up to in the last, has it been 2 years? I can't remember, Theresa, but what have you
It's
been
been
doing?
almost 2 years, yes.
Wow, that's amazing how time flies. So what have you been doing?
Well, my current project, which is I'm very passionate about, is the natural breastfeeding technique of helping new mothers initiate breastfeeding more successfully. We've found that we've done a great job at helping new mothers want to try to get started, but mainly we see a lot of fear and not really prepared. And although they plan to breastfeed, they aren't really prepared to do so. And also, I think of this as sort of a very American sort of thing, but there's a lot of emphasis on the breast milk as opposed to the breast milk and the container that it comes in. So I always say that breast milk, human breast milk, isn't just the perfect food, it comes in also the perfect package. So we really want
Mm.
moms to be successful, and they find the new moms um, find that it's those first couple weeks where they're just not as prepared as women were before when they'd observed. So we came up, I work with Nancy Moorbacher, who's probably the biggest name in lactation and breastfeeding.
Mhm.
And we came up with this sort of very simplified technique that is really oriented just towards the very newborn babies that don't have a lot of voluntary muscle control. And this is really
Mhm.
simple and it's easy to learn from watching a video. So we encourage the new moms to watch this either before the baby comes or soon afterwards so they can just try this out. And the biggest problem they have, the three big problems are um, really it's two, is that latching is quite challenging for them, and also it tends to be kind of painful. And this technique really makes both of those things, lets the baby do the latch, and they do it very well that way. So it's a positioning sort of technique. And so that's pretty much what I've been focusing on, and continuing to work on helping women of all ages and stages of life uh, better nourish their bodies because that helps them be healthy in so many ways. And but be able to do a talk like this, I find that many women are more motivated to try and do that when they're expecting. So it's a good time to grab a captive audience. So thank you for giving me this
Mm.
opportunity to do so.
Oh no, I mean it's our pleasure. I think this is sometimes it's a topic that doesn't get maybe explained well enough or it's not understood well enough. It feels like it's a very surface topic sometimes for families, and I think that everybody needs a Dr. Teresa in their lives. That's that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, like, because you also have a fabulous way of not complicating things, but really expressing them really well. And I think that this is why I mean, I know that this is what you've tried to do and attained to do because of maybe the climate, the clients that we have today, the limited amount of time that we have. So it's important that the communication style is well delivered. And I think this is something that you've been able to achieve, and it's not overwhelming. I've looked at, I mean, just for our audience listening in, I mean, I've looked at Theresa's work for a long time, and that's something that that I can really express about you, Theresa, is that that's something that, it's a style that you can educate the educator, you can educate the client, and that's what's so important. Have you found that, having limited time or, the lifestyle that we lead today, that you find like you end up having to give bite-sized pieces of information to clients? Is that what sort of the trend is? What's happening for you in that area?
No, actually, I really disagree with that. And
Hmm.
what I find to be more useful is to use analogies or little stories, and
Right.
shake up people's thinking. So mostly those
Ah,
bite-sized information is because someone
yep,
asked me a question that's very
right.
direct, that has a lot of assumptions on their part. Like, can you tell me if this is right or wrong? And I tell my little approach because it basically shakes up all of that. It doesn't take a long time, but it
Right.
helps it helps us make better decisions. And especially for, obviously I work with women, and I think all that
Sure.
cultural knowledge and what women were very had all the responsibility for the wellness for themselves and for their
Hmm.
families. And I think we have, given that over to a much more medical model. And I don't mean just doctors on that, but sort of a sense
Sure.
of health being the absence of a disease. How do I avoid this happening? And how do I make sure my baby's going to be okay? Or what should I do? Or what should I take? And that's still an important approach. Obviously, I'm a nurse and a physician both, but I look at
Yeah.
the physician approach as being there's a lot of emphasis on diagnosis and treatment, and
Hmm.
wellness should be about making yourself more resistant to needing diagnosis and treatment. So it is a state of being. So I think a lot of the problems that we see now are because of a lack of wellness. And it really shouldn't be the doctor or the medical model or even health, which a lot of times translates as absence of disease. It really is something I think that we should and I'll be going into this in the talk, is it's something that we should take back for ourselves, to understand that not only should we be responsible for it, but we're sort of biologically programmed to be quite good at it. So
Right.
that's my perspective, is how do I communicate to people so that they go, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, yep, I'm all about science and sense, but there needs to be a balance of those two things.
For sure, for sure. So I think what I hear you saying now is that in actual fact, um, slowing down and taking the time, we're hardwired to do this. It sort of falls back onto that self-care element that you can't rush it. So, it's about really providing the information to the client in terms of an understanding and knowledge, and not rushing through things and not taking things in bite-sized portions anymore, because it doesn't work invariably, or we could be missing components that actually prevent, getting to diagnosis and those types of things.
And really it really interferes with our ability to make common sense generalized judgments. So when you look at a
Right.
specific problem like that, it's very much can't see the forest for the trees approach. So
Mm.
there's a micromanagement sense of, literally, if people take, with the little story, take a couple steps backwards, they see things completely differently, and then they make decisions. We're able to make decisions with that viewpoint in mind, instead of just the up close sound bite, what's the
Mm,
newest study piece of information. It's not that they're
gotcha.
not useful, it's just that it's a very up close perspective, and we need to remember that the step back perspective aids us just as well. They both are important. There needs to be a balance.
Right. And this reminds me of something that I was just trying to do for myself yesterday, Teresa. And it's a great reminder because I hear this a lot about, being the client or being the provider, and everybody's rush, rush, rush. And that's why I really threw in that comment there, is just to sort of get your perspective on it. But yesterday, there I was doing something. I'd had a very busy, long day, and I was trying to unwind myself by doing some meditation and some reading and not looking at a device. And that, in the same respect, is that if I just keep going, 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 I'm not going to be able to, serve my body well. Or in the case of perhaps being pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, breastfeeding, wherever I'm at, if I'm not slowing that process down and taking time to really invest in that process, then it can have it can have a detrimental effect on both mother and baby. So I think this is where we're going with this. Is that right, Therese? I really feel like you're
Yes,
investing in me. You're investing in me.
yeah, it's very much like that the little Jetsons introduction that they had of riding, walking the dog on a treadmill that just keeps going faster and faster,
Right.
and it becomes literally frightening to get
Totally.
off it. So we're so it's actually difficult to make our
Hmm.
brains be able to do that without practicing doing it, and we
Yeah.
don't even know how to get started anymore. And the even the idea of moving away from those things becomes like, I really need to do that. I'll do that tomorrow. That's
Mm.
why pregnancy is such a valuable time, is that there is, especially to a woman's brain, is there is hormones that start to like literally bang on your brain saying, you need to make the right priorities right now. So
Right.
it's a great time to have women to sort of hijack them, because
Mm.
they are going to be much more likely to do things right now for their baby than they
Yeah.
will to do things for themselves. So that's
Hmm.
a great one, because it's choosing the right audience at the right time to help them be able to make changes that aren't just good for their baby, but they're good for themselves too.
Wow, fantastic. That's awesome. That's very exciting. Let's jump quickly just into your presentation. So for our audience listening in right now, Teresa is going to be part of our Gold Obstetrics and Gynecology Online Conference 2019. I'm going to be recording an event with me very soon, and so I'm going to get a sneak peek at this. But Teresa, I would love it if you would just share a couple of things that our audience can look forward to in listening to your recording.
Well, I would say the main thing about this is it probably will be different than it would be anticipated. So when I say I'm going to talk about this, most people expect that I'm going to give them a list of eat this, not that, and
Right.
why. And I would say the other huge part is prenatal vitamins, which we start with the idea that I call it like it's the pillness. So we think
Mm.
that a pill can cure an illness. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
an illness, you just put a P in front of it, and
Oh,
the
I love it.
pillness means you have no illness
Right.
anymore. So the idea that a prenatal vitamin could build a baby is something, and I have a slide in there that even they understand in Harry Potter, you can't make something out of nothing. You can only turn something into something else. But we
Right.
do have this magical thinking of, if you put that in there, either that's what's used to grow the baby like a fairy tale, or
Mm-hmm.
that is the insurance policy that is a guarantee that nothing will go wrong. And it works very well, because most of the time Mother Nature does protect the babies, and so it doesn't make that much
Mm-hmm.
difference. So I would say prenatal vitamins, which prenatal vitamins, when prenatal vitamins, what if they can't? I would say is, yeah, there's a place for prenatal vitamins, but understand what they're there for, and why this is a good time to help mothers understand about how to have a nourished body, and why they're the biggest point of this, that I think that will be the surprise, is to start to understand that babies don't eat from the mother's plate. What she's eating isn't what the baby's eating. So the
Right.
mother needs to be nourished, and the baby draws their
Mm-hmm.
nourishment from the mother the same way a plant draws their nourishment from the soil. You can't feed the leaves the
Right.
fertilizer. And
Yeah.
if you have fertilizer, you have to use it the appropriate way, and it goes into nourishing the soil that then in turn goes to the plant. And we need to nourish mothers instead of having them have this preconceived notion of what I'm eating right now at this minute is what is going to my baby, because it doesn't work that way.
Excellent. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to your presentation. Again, always great to have you here with us, Theresa. Your work is, like I said, it feels like you invested in me today already. So I know that our audience will sense and feel that from you once again, and of course, lots of learning to be had as well. So thank you so much for joining me here today at Gold. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting down with you and chatting. So thank you once again. And to our listening audience right now, I'm just going to let you know, of course, Dr. Theresa Nesbitt is going to be here at the Gold Obstetrics and Gynecology Online Conference 2019 coming up really soon here. November 4th is our kickoff date, and you are all invited to that day. We're going to have Neil Shaw with us as our opening keynote, and I can't wait for you to join us on that day. You can go to our website, which is goldobgyn.com, and you can log in and register there for not only we've got some free education, updated education, of course, Theresa's education as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you joining us there. But for now, I will sign off and say thank you once again to Dr. Theresa Nesbitt for being with us here today, and of course to all of you, our listening audience. Bye-bye for now, everyone.